welcome to those that are tuned in. This is the first of these live presentations we've done for this year. We're super excited about the new inclusions we've got with the Covram. This session's primarily going to be about the dashboard, which supports the data that you collect in the field using the mobile app. And yeah, just in very exciting news, we about 3 weeks ago we got our 1,000th person registered using Covram, so we're pretty happy about that, and we'll notify that person when we get the time. So, anyway, Mike, you might want to start us off on the start of the conversation to do with the dashboard. Probably how to get there first.
Yeah, so many of you will have just used the mobile app out in the field. So we also have a web app. So if you visit covram.com.au and you visit that in your browser, in your Chrome browser or any type of browser, and you log in using the same details as you registered with on your mobile app, you have access to the Covram web app. And what that does is gives you the ability to analyze your field data on a bigger screen. So lets you look at that data that you've collected, lets you look at photos, projects, and also now a dashboard page. So if I click over here, hopefully everyone can now see my screen here. Is that right? Yep. So you'll see there's a little sidebar here, okay? So I'm moving my mouse here. You'll normally open up and you'll see a list of projects, okay? If you click on the dashboard link on the sidebar, this will open up this page, okay? And we've developed this because we wanted an easy way for people to visualize what they've collected and help them identify trends. So many of you will have only collected, because Covram's relatively new, some of you won't have a huge amount of data to look at, but hopefully over time that develops into quite an interesting data set. Now the dashboard will allow you to analyze and see trends in that. So I'll just quickly talk through the structure of how this looks and how you can get the most out of this dashboard. So at the top, you'll see there's a filters option here. Okay, can I draw on that? Yep. So at the top of the page, there's a filters here. That'll allow you to select a project first. Okay, and we've got the Warby Tammany Gap Burns project selected for this example, but you can also click down on that and select any number of your projects or even all of your projects at once. Okay, then you would select from that a theme. So using the same approach as you would use with the activities functionality in the mobile app, you would select a theme. So in this case, we've selected native vegetation, but you could select any number of those themes that we now offer within the mobile app. Okay, depending on which sorry, do you want to jump in, mate?
Just for a second, this will be ahead of some people, and some of you have probably just started using it, the app, or you don't have many sites, and in fact you only have 1 or 2 projects. Obviously, the more data you collect, the more useful the dashboard is, because it enables you to review various things. So I just want to clarify there. The reason this is so data rich, what Michael's going to show you, is this is stuff that I've collected, or others that I'm in a team with have collected. Sorry, mate, where you were.
Yeah, no, that's all right. And we just want to show you the capability of it so people can get familiar with what, if they do collect the data, this is what you can do with it. So we've selected native vegetation, but you could select any number of these themes, again, following the same process as you do within activities. And then based on that, you can select an issue. And in this instance, we've selected condition assessments. The main reason for that is historically, we just offered the condition assessments, so there's a lot more data to go through versus the other ones where there's not as much historical data to look at. Okay, so based on what you select out of these 3 filters at the top, it'll give you the number of sites, the number of inspections, and obviously there's more inspections than sites because Dad's been here multiple times to those particular sites. And then some other data here around average inspections per site, etc. Then on the left side here, you'll see there's recent inspections. Okay, so these are just ones which are condition assessments ones. Okay, so this, if I change the filter, this will change what recent inspections show up. Okay, and this will change. So, and then if you go to the side here, this gives you a graph, so a simple pie chart showing a summary of the distribution of all of those recent inspections. Okay, so it's a simple way to visualize what the sites are within that project and what for example, quality they are. So that the blue indicates moderate quality, the dark green indicates high quality, and the light green indicates very high quality. So the vast majority of sites in this project are high quality. If we scroll down further, we can see that the trends over time. Okay, so I'm not sure if is this too small? Can you see that, mate, or is it hard to make out?
It's not bad.
Okay, so down the bottom there's a time trend. So there's dates across the bottom, and on the side here there's quality. So over time there looks like a very slight downtrend over time, and these dots represent assessments or inspections which have been undertaken at different times. Okay, and the different quality ratings they've been given.
Do you want to just tap on one of those dots, because you've got a line of best fit there, but there's a lot of data there, even though it's just represented by a few dots. So yeah, so there's heaps of dots actually plotted on the same points here. There's a ton of high quality sites which are undertaken on that day, the 7th of Jan. So okay, that's a bit of an overview of how the dashboard works. If I was to change which issue is selected and which theme is selected, these graphs would change. So for example, we'll talk about that in a minute, but did you want to talk about this project in particular, mate, and how you found it useful for your analysis? Yeah, okay, thanks. So if you look at the recent inspections table Michael's talking about, you'll notice on some of them they have a red square, and so each one's a site. Thanks, Mike.
I'm going to try and zoom in a bit, yeah. So you can see.
And so you can see some of them have got a number in them, and what that is that's showing that there's been a change. And unfortunately, in these cases, this is been a negative change. So it's actually the condition of the site's gone backwards. And it's probably not surprising in this site, because this was set up to monitor the burning in national parks that's done on a broad scale. And the primary thing that we were monitoring were large old trees and seeing what the effect was on those. So for example, we got TG20, which is just a site that I happen to know reasonably well. And if Michael's just scrolling through to find it, and you'll notice it's got -4. So there's been a fairly extravagant change there, and you might think, well, what's that? So if Michael goes into that site, taps on it.
So you can see this little arrow here, and I can click on that to go straight to that site. So I'm going to tap on that.
So it's just loading now. And it's had 2 inspections, and the things we were looking for were the main. So just, sorry, go back down, Mike, before the photos, because that's sort of steals the thunder. Maintaining large trees, because that was the primary thing. We were hoping we'd maintain large trees. We were looking for weed species abundance that occurred after burning, and then we were looking at ground cover change after burning. There's a whole range of indicators. They were the ones selected for this. Now, if you go down and have a look at the photos, you'll see that was the pre-burning, and then the next one is the post-burning. And unfortunately, the post-burning, the main feature, the large tree, is basically completely gone. I mean, you don't need to be an Oxford scholar to understand that there's been a problem, and this is a way of actually collecting evidence to say, of these sites, of which I've got about 60 odd, 25% of them have lost their old trees from one burn. Anyway, you can use this data as you see fit, but this is setting things up to actually be able to see what the trend is. Not all that many activities will have that sort of if you like, vicious or major change. Some will, like some of the weed control activities will, for example. If you did woody weed control, you might change something markedly quite quickly. But beforehand, there hasn't been a simple way of actually being able to account for that and saying what is the change. So yeah, it's graphic as it needs to be, and it shows the way of it. So if you might want to go back, Mike, into the and just tap on the themes again if you don't mind.
I'm just going to add one thing I forgot to mention. You can select. So at the moment, all of the sites and inspections within the project are plotted within these graphs, but I can select, for example, one or two of these, and it'll show them plotted over time. So you can change what's selected here, and it will change the data that's plotted. Okay, so that's just a handy feature there. Yep, sorry, mate.
No, it's good. And so if you look at the top where we're looking at a particular project, and I just happen to have multiple projects or involved in them. If you go to the theme, and this is, just tap on that, please. So that coincides with the activities that are shown in the mobile app. So it depends what you choose as to what you'll be doing. Now, for some people, they may only be using it for doing re-veg or doing water assessment, and we might go to that, Michael. Just look at water for a start. So if you look at water, and that gives you, and then there's a bunch of issues that are underwater, whether it's wetlands, waterways, or measuring water quality, which are actual metered ones. So now we've got none there because you wouldn't expect so up in the top of Tamanic Ranges. So we'll go to look at a project there, probably all projects.
Maybe all projects?
Yeah,
I'm not sure which exact
some
one.
of this is shared data, so I don't want to be showing people what's going, what other people's projects are. But again, it just shows you this is water. Michael's got water appearance distribution. Don't get hung up on what the labels are. It's more to show you that you can present this a number of ways, and it's just depending on what we really have geared Covram in the last 6 months to be able to handle most land management type issues, and we've broken that up into those 8 activities, which then have a number of issues underneath them. So, for example, native vegetation has a bunch of ones under it, which can be, species lists or whatever. Yeah. So if you go there, just familiarising people with native veg. Yep. Tap on that.
Quite a bit of data.
And you see the condition assessment's what we're looking at, because that's what we spent most of the time. But we're developing one for natural regen for plant species. A lot of botanists want to use it. Will knock yourself out. Put as many as you want, and threatened species and species community. So these might be important, and you might want a way of being able to show those. So yeah, we're just giving you a sense of the power of some of this and the way you can represent things. And you look down the bottom there, on the bottom right, as he's showing, site quality by habitat. So you look at there's a range of site quality conditions there, and you can look at across woodlands, shrublands, grasslands, and derived grasslands. So there's a lot you can do with it. So your relatively simple data, once you collect it over time, becomes quite. This enables you to visualize and show it in any number of ways. But I'll leave that all for you to explore. The main way to get the maximum use out of this is to actually go and do assessments, and that because you won't see what I'm seeing, because these are my projects. You'll have to do your own. And when you do them, like we've got a number of people that have got literally 100 or more, and they have a lot of, and I don't want to show them because that's theirs. They have quite a deep data set already. Now, as it goes on over the years, that's going to stack on top, and you'll be able to get really good information on the trends. How are things changing? Actually evidence-based rather than some sort of, relying on memory or, what some joker up the road says. Okay. Anything else we want to cover there, Mike?
No. So that were the main things. I mean, we could go through some other themes to show how that data looks. I mean, we talked about weed control as well. But again, a similar kind of presentation. There's a number of sites, a number of inspections, a list of the recent inspections, the distribution, okay, using different data that we've collected, and density over time. So looking at a time series at the bottom. So we try and follow that consistent approach. So it looks familiar.
And I think the other thing to say, this is really very recent. We've put this, as well as it's very recent, all the activities that we've added. So there will be minor changes as we go along, as people find or issues that they think are really important. We can see the value of it. So there may be some minor changes. The other important message, as I always say, is before you go out in the field, if you haven't used it for a little while, the mobile app, is to just make sure you've uploaded the latest version, because the technology is changing quite regularly. Okay, but it is incredibly powerful. The thing that's missing, or it's needed, is your data. Is actually go out and do it so that you can use it for what it is. Because if you have 3 sites and you look at them once a year, I mean, it'll look okay, but it's not really the depth of things that you want to find. Whereas if you've got, I don't know, a whole bunch of you going out doing a citizen science project, and you have, 1,000 sites, you can really get some very strong information, especially when you're tied in with the map data as well. It's really quite powerful. So next, there's nothing in the chat that we need to deal with, Mike?
No, not at the moment. I've just responded there. Yep.
Okay. So we might go on and do the photos while we're...
Yep. So I will just share my screen here. Do you want to just talk about the need to have repeatable photos, mate?
Oh yeah. So one of the key things that I've been stressing is nowadays, because cameras are so good in our phones, it's really important to try and capture images, and to make it really useful, especially if you're doing any monitoring. They need to be replicated. So they need to be as similar as possible, the same site taken over and over. So we've added a little bit of an approach that enables you to line up more accurately how to take those photos. Some photos will be one-offs, like, you're out somewhere and you found such and such an orchid, or, there was a sort of a drum of oil in a waterway or something like that. That's a one-off. But the others, where you're looking at coming back to that site and seeing how it changes, that's really quite important. Right. So as you were, Mike.
Yeah. So this is obviously we've been talking recently about the web app, so using your browser on your computer. This is now I'm presenting my mobile app. So this is hopefully a relatively familiar screen. And so I've created a project called Dashboard Training. And these are 2 sites that I just created earlier. So what we want to show you today is just a little improvement we've done to the camera to try and make life a bit easier to take repeat photos, based on what Dave's just been covering there. So perhaps I'll just talk about the photo point first, mate.
Yeah. So as you see on Michael's screen, which would be familiar with anyone that's used the app, you can see 2 visible points there, pin drops. The green one sites where you've got data, and the bone coloured one there, excuse me, are photo points. So that's the difference. And then hidden under that is the blue dot which obviously that's what you need when you open the app to make sure you're live so that you can actually enter data. So yeah, Michael's going to talk now about the photo point, the bone one.
So in the instance you're taking a photo for the first time or taking a photo point for the first time, this won't be applicable. But if you're going to the same site for a second time to take a follow-up or a monitoring photo, this is the process you'd follow. So I tap, rather than hitting the add button in this instance, I tap on the marker. Okay, so I will do this. Just give me a second. I would tap on the marker, and I've just called this photo point Big Tree. So this is a photo in my backyard just because I'm in my office at the moment. I want to give an example. So if I tap on that, this will bring up this photo that I've already created. Okay, and let's say I want to do a follow-up photo. I would hit this button down in the bottom saying add photo. Okay, what you'll notice is that'll bring up the camera, but it'll also bring up this yellow overlay. Okay, can everyone see that on my screen? There's some yellow lines there. What that is that's the previous photo taken and run through an algorithm or some description, and then it's taken an outline of that to try and make it easy for me to line this up a second time. Okay, if you find this annoying, you can always just switch it off using this button here. Okay, but this is an effort to try and make it easier to capture that. If you've got a dropper or something else, hopefully the image will recognize that and draw a line there. So I'm going to try and take a follow-up photo of this tree, and let's see if I can line it up properly. Is there anything you wanted to add, mate?
No, sometimes you'll find it's actually too busy and you'll drop it out. It's really helpful. And yeah,
I can see the cubby house there. I can see some branches. I think that's a pretty good effort.
Yeah, that's pretty. So that's
I'm just going to hit that. And then you'll notice this has changed slightly. There's a retake button if you want to have another go at it, or I can accept it. I'm going to accept it. And, you know, that looks pretty similar. Bit more grey skies in the second one. But,
absolutely nothing about that. Let me say, I think this, well, I personally think, if I do say so myself, is a great addition. And thanks to those people who suggested it. And it's really quite helpful. It won't help you necessarily if it's an image of, say, you're looking down at the ground layer and it's just and there's no obvious difference you can see over time. So that's where you will need a physical thing to give it, to be able to recite on it, because it's not enough to go by the GPS, because GPS it's accurate to level, but I know it's within 5 or 10 meters. So, and that can be, for any of us that have spent a lot of time in the field, that 5 or 10 meters can move anything, because you can't find what you want. So anyway, now Mike, you're going to show how you do it with the monitoring sites now.
Yeah, so and sites follows a similar path. I'm just going to jump through here. This is a photo I've already taken, and if I want to do a follow-up inspection, rather than adding a new one, I need to open it and then add inspection, and that'll layer them on top. So that'll allow that analysis of data over time. Okay, I'm just going to jump through this, making some assumptions so I can get to the photo point.
So Michael's just rolling through doing an assessment as if he was doing it.
Let's just assume that's all accurate, because of what I want to show is this take a photo button. So I'm going to take a photo, and again, that's now showed this yellow outline. You can see that. And that'll again, hopefully assist me to line it up. And again, I can just turn that off if I need to. And you'll notice the difference here is this has got an option to go to previous as well. So because this is the second photo point I've taken, I can tap on that and have a look at the previous one just easily within the camera. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to take. If the outline's not working, I can just do a quick.
And you can tap on that too, can't you, Mike?
Yeah, I can tap on that to have a look.
So the awesome thing is, when you're out in the field, you know, I'm telling you, you won't remember it. So you go out there, and that is a fantastic thing to be able to do it while you're in the app. Yeah, don't have to get out and go back in. You tap in there and you can see, yep, that's what I've got to visualize. and then you can turn on the framework one that Michael had. I personally think it's awesome.
So I'm just going to go back, and my camera is still there, luckily. So I am just going to try and see if I can line that up relatively well. I think that's, you know, might be a bit more over here somehow.
That's pretty good.
You get the idea. One thing I was going to show. Sorry, I'm going to go back in here. If I've taken this, so this is portrait mode, but if I have my camera the wrong way, previous photo was taken in portrait, rotate your device. Okay. So that'll show that message. If you took a landscape, it'll remind you to take another landscape, or if you took a portrait, it'll remind you to take another portrait. Okay. And I'm just going to take that and accept it. And let's see, hopefully it'll be similar to the last one. All right, and that's done too.
Okay. So that's pretty well what we wanted to cover. And unless there's anything else, Mike, for you?
No, short and sweet, mate.
I'm on a sharp time, so I've got 3 minutes, and I'll have to tune out. Michael might stay on if there's some more questions, especially technical ones. Has anyone got some? And of course, we don't expect you to understand this all. So how do I delete a project? Honestly, Philippa, send us an email on that one, because we've got that one dealt with.
Track tree health over time. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Any others?
Yes.
Yes.
Your hand up, Marg?
Yep.
Yeah, hi.
Go for it.
Hi, Davo and Michael. Thanks for putting on this session. My question is, I have been doing a community restoration project probably for 8 to 10 years, and we have a lot of, we've got photo points, and so we've got a lot of, older photos from the beginning when it was all just weed control. And I was wondering, is there any way to bring them, if I set up a project now, Combourne River project, from now, is there any way that I can bring in those old photos from way back? There is a series of quite good photos.
Yeah, right. Currently there isn't, because it's been built around capturing the now, but it's certainly something we're looking at building. I've just been a bit sidetracked on this stuff, but sure. I would suggest in the next, if I say the next month, I think we'll have that capability, certainly.
Okay. Yep. No, that sounds great. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, just hopefully simplifying your life out when you're out taking photos, because I know that's a big draw card. That's why we've developed those couple of things there. So, if there's things you notice, let us know. We're still tweaking how that looks. So, if there's particular feedback on something not working as expected or needs improvement, let me know, and we'll keep making changes as we go. So keep updating the app.
And as I said to Philippa, just plonk any questions or issues on the email, which Michael will finish off with, and we can point your nose in the right direction to sort those out. Some of them they're quite simple. It's just a practice thing. Once you know how to do it, it becomes quite simple. So any others, Mike, that are pressing?
Richard's just got a comment about tracking tree health over time.
Yeah, well, it's awesome for that, of course. And so we are looking at putting a specific old tree issue under the native veg, but that, again, like Michael said, that'll be a month or two out, but we know that that's a very important issue, so we're going to look at having specific old trees that we watch their health over time.
Yeah. All right. Unless there's any dying. Oh, we got Peter here. You caught me, Peter. I was about to.
That's all right.
What's up, mate?
It's a quick question about the track location versus the drawing and plotting it on your phone in the app in the field. If you walk a location by using the track location, how do you? I had a question last time about how those two things line up in terms of whether you actually physically draw it with your finger as opposed to walking around on a trying to produce a polygon by walking. Is that
Sorry, Mike, before you answer, I've just got to leave you. So good luck, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, knock yourself out getting sites and photo points. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. So the main difference, Peter, to your question is the way the track location works is it drops your location as you're walking around like the satellite, similar to Google Maps.
Yes.
It follow your satellite location.
That's
and
right.
all it does is it drops a line. So it'll join up all of those dots to form a line versus a polygon. Polygons are always an enclosed boundary versus a line, which is obviously open-ended.
Can you edit the track location?
Not as yet. Would that be useful? Have you found the need to do that?
Yes, because otherwise, if you use the track location in the field, it's pretty handy. But sometimes you've got to walk around a big rock or something like that, and you can't get to the same point. So if you could move it like a polygon, it'd be helpful. So
yeah, there's no reason we couldn't implement that, mate. It's just a matter of a priority. Part of your time.
Yeah, that's right. I like I like those that photo overlay point. That's a great idea.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
Thank you.
All right. Well, unless there's any other questions, feel free to email and I'll get to them hopefully later today or in the following days. But thanks everyone for joining us today, and I hope you find those things useful. So.